Okay, so we're going to record and I'll share my screen and we'll get right to it. So today is kind of fun. You hopefully maybe already have gotten registered, but registration did open today. This was kind of, we wanted to do this right away tonight so that if anybody had questions or needed a little refresher on things before they registered, that you'd be able to see that tonight. But you are pretty much halfway through your whole middle college experience, which is crazy because most of you I still probably have hardly met in person. Like we met at orientation basically, and then we've all been online. And I know some people have come into the office or coming for meetings, but you guys are getting it done. And probably were our class that was most affected by the last year and a half and everything having to be online. But so you are at your halfway point. You're basically like 6 weeks from your halfway done with this. So it's just kind of a time for us to check in about what you've done, what you should be thinking about and right now and for the future. And so the immediate is just kind of successfully completing this semester. We'll talk a little bit about that, planning for the future, near and far. So wrapping up your high school requirements, looking at getting maybe a clearer idea of what you want to do for your program of study, like your SE4 major, where you're at with your English and math placements, what you think you want to do after SE4, and then kind of bringing it back to the near again, talking about winter registration. And I'll just do kind of a quick refresher on how to do that. And then the last thing we'll wrap it up with, you'll update your educational development plan, your EDP that we need basically each student to update each year. And I'll go through all that. Just a reminder, we do have a remind group. I'm not very good at using it often enough, but I need to get using it. Would have been a great little reminder that we're doing this tonight. If you aren't already on the group, you can join it by texting this at BWMC 2020 to this number 81010. And if that doesn't work for you, just let me know and I can send you a link as well. So early alert grades were posted a while ago now. That was on Monday, October 4th. So if you don't know what your grade was, I will show you just a quick refresher on how to find your grades in the service center while we go in there and do a quick refresher on registration. And actually this presentation was originally from Friday. Winter courses were viewable on Friday, but winter registration is open now. We do know SE4 had a whole bunch of technical difficulties overnight. And yesterday people were in there wanted to go in and get everything ready before registration opened at midnight. And I'm not sure exactly what went wrong, but they are aware that they were having major issues. I don't know if anybody was up at midnight last night or got up in the middle of the night and couldn't get in. We do understand that things are fixed now. So if you're still having trouble getting in, that might be a login or a username or password issue for you. And I'll just kind of show you how to reset your password and try that. And then I will point you to the help desk also, their number. They would be the people to help you. So maybe I'll ask for a show of hands or for people to chime in of whether they've gotten registered or had issues, but we'll do that a little bit later on. So don't worry about that now. Finals week is December 13th through the 17th, and then the semester ending on the 17th. That's also going to be when textbooks are due. We'll be sending a lot more information and detail about that, about like how you return your textbooks, where you bring them, but just kind of keep in mind, I always think a good way to do it is just when you come to campus for your last final, bring your textbooks then and drop them off. You can bring them in earlier than finals week, but don't return them before you're going to be done needing them. So if you need that to study for a final, just hold on and bring it in after you've done. There are late fees though, if you don't get it in by the deadline. So it is, a short window, but a week's time is enough to just bring it in and drop it off and not have to deal with a late fee. We've also been getting a lot of questions about College Month activities. October in the state of Michigan is called College Month. And so a lot of you that are at your partner high schools like Port Huron High, Yale, anybody that goes to one of the partner high schools, you all have college advisors there that are awesome in helping everybody get through all of the college application process and the FAFSA and getting through the financial aid stuff. And that's wonderful. We are actually going to do all of that stuff next year though. So if it's okay to do this stuff right now, but you don't have to. You'll do all of these college applications, the FAFSA, letters of recommendation, all that stuff we will do next fall. So you don't have to do it. There are some times where I know that it's really easy to get swept up that all of your classmates are talking about leaving and doing that and are going to move on. And so you kind of think like, man, what if I could get an awesome scholarship? Like, is it worth checking out? It is fine if you want to check it out, if you want to apply to those four-year schools, if you want to complete the FAFSA. But if you decide to stay, we'll just let us know if you have done the FAFSA, because we really just need to let the financial aid people at SC4 know that so that they can keep you marked as a Blue Water Middle College student. Because sometimes when they start getting FAFSA notifications from students that are the Blue Water Middle College, they think maybe you've left us. And so they start to like recode things. So if you want to explore it, that's fine. Keep us posted if you do, and then we'll be able to keep SC4 posted to keep you coded correctly. But a big thing to keep in mind is that your 13th year is basically a full year, 100% scholarship where your tuition, fees, books, everything is covered. So unless you're getting a 100% scholarship for the rest of your time, it probably does make sense to stay that 13th year. If you do start to do that, keep in mind that you are Blue Water Middle College students. You're not like a Port Huron Northern or Algonac or Memphis. You are Blue Water Middle College. That's your high school. And you will apply as a freshman in your 13th year and still be eligible for all those freshman scholarships. So that's why sometimes people start freaking out of like, am I supposed to be doing this now? That's the only way I'll be eligible for a freshman. And that's not the case. You'll be a freshman in all of your admission stuff, and then you'll transfer a bunch of stuff and kind of turn into a transfer student once you actually move on and go away. So just let us know if you have any questions about that, but just kind of just wanted to update you that you do not have to do that stuff right now and probably shouldn't. Now, on the flip side, this is going to go a little negative after kind of that fun positivity of thinking about life after middle college, is that we really want you to focus on finishing your degree on time. And so on time in our terminology or the way we look at it is that you finish your degree at the end of your 13th year. The program is structured to do that, but we only have about 50% of our students do that each year. Another 15% will earn it within another year. So maybe they just had a class or two to finish or even a full semester's worth. But then that remainder is about a third of our students who don't end up getting a degree at all. And so we really wanted to kind of touch on that, not to scare people, but just to help you understand the things to avoid. One of the biggest things is that people change their program. And this, in my opinion, is actually probably a decent reason not to get your degree on time. But you're still going to get a lot of progress done. But better to change your mind right now while you're early into it. And well, it's still free versus changing your mind in your senior year away at a four-year school and thinking like, well, I just kept barreling forward because I wanted to get this degree done. I wanted to be on time, but I don't really want to do this for a career. It's okay to change your mind. Just know that it might change whether you can get done on time. But the biggest thing I would say is come and talk to one of us, because you might change from one thing to something completely different, but we might be able to find you a program where you can still do some of this new stuff that you're interested in now instead, and not have all of those things that you took before not count for something. Another is that some people are just focused on getting a bachelor's degree. So there are a few programs where there's just not a ton of stuff that you can take at SC4 that will transfer, but it's very, very few. I've had maybe a student or two do some film programs where there's just not much you can take at SC4 that will transfer for that. Some like art schools, but there are still quite a few things that will transfer even for those. So if you're going to be close and you're going to stay for your 13th year and be here, I think if you're going to be close, you may as well try to get that associate degree, and we can help you plan that out. The biggest reason people don't earn their degree is just due to withdrawing from or failing classes. And so that's what we really want to try to help you avoid. And it does get to be more like very few people have done it in these first few semesters. But as your semesters start getting crazier and you're getting into higher level classes, that temptation definitely becomes a lot more like front of your mind. And so we want to try to warn you away from that. In most cases, there is no good reason. And a lot of the times that I talk to people, just met with a student today that says that he needs to withdraw a class. And it kind of just came out that like he just stopped going. He was frustrated and didn't know what was going on. And so instead of digging in, doing the work and asking for help, he sort of stuck his head in the sand, and he was really regretful about it, that there he kind of was past the point of return. And so that's what we say over and over, is to let us know as soon as you're struggling. But most students, 80% of the people who get a degree on time withdrew from no classes. So that's definitely the goal, is to complete and finish these classes. Even if you're going to just scrape it out with a D minus, that stuff you can recover from. But and we can help you do that. And we can help you plan around that. But just sticking with it and finishing the classes is the best way to get done on time. Don't withdraw, earn your degree, pass your classes. Our students here in the middle college are doing awesome. Like 85% of people are getting C minuses or better, but a D minus is still passing. So sometimes that's just the best thing to do, is just scrape it out, get that D minus, get that credit. It will work towards electives for your degree. And maybe it will help you be able to take another class later on just by checking that off as a prerequisite, but at least you have it done and then you can move on. But all of that, if you're struggling, just let us know. And if you're worried about how something's going to impact your GPA or keep staying on track, let us know. We can help you kind of puzzle piece it all together. But you can finish on time. If you are thinking about withdrawing, contact one of us. You're not allowed to just drop a class without our permission. So if you do that, we're going to have some issues where potentially you may end up being limited on your classes in the future. So definitely reach out, follow the procedure, ask one of us for help, and we'll walk you through it. There is a form that we would have you fill out, and it's required before we would allow you to withdraw, and we actually do the paperwork for you to withdraw. Once in a while, we have people that we say, okay, keep going, keep trying, talk to your instructor, do a few more weeks, try your next test, and they just stop going. And so that's very easy for us to figure out. And we have had some cases where we don't approve or withdraw. And so if you just decide on your own to stop going without talking to somebody, then you would just be stuck with whatever grade it is that you earn. So definitely ask for help, talk to one of us before you make kind of a crazy irrational decision like that. So getting help if needed. We talk about this over and over and over, but the number one thing is talk to your instructor. A lot of times when I meet with students who are talking about withdrawing, they've never even talked to their instructor or asked them for help. There is online tutoring that SC4 is offering. Everyone I know that has tried this has said that it's actually pretty awesome. It's just like what we're doing right now, where you can be meeting one-on-one with a tutor online. You can share your screen and kind of show them the stuff that you're doing. They will also help you if it's not just the content that you're struggling with, but I know there's a few instructors where people have been coming in and said, I understand the work, I understand the book, but I don't understand her tests, or I'm having a really hard time figuring out just the directions on these assignments that we're getting. Your tutors can help with that as well too. They can help you look at Canvas and figure out what's where. Some of the instructors are not necessarily meaning to be disorganized, but they just kind of organize things different than the others. And to them, it makes perfect sense. But then when we're looking at it, or you're looking at it, you're like, I don't even know where this stuff is. That's another big thing that we can help with and the tutors can help with. So if you're struggling with that at all, please let somebody know and we can help. So on to the fun stuff. Planning for the future is definitely where I always prefer over talking about things not going well. But if things are not going well, there's hope for the future. So high school commencement, whether you will walk in your high school graduation stuff this spring. So if you are attending one of the partner schools, you are still allowed and welcomed to participate in graduation and prom and all of that stuff. And most people will still have their open house next summer at the end of 12th grade, even though you're still going to be with us for another year. But you do have to have all of those high school requirements done by the end of 12th grade in order to participate. So that's the 4 English, 4 math, 3 science, that whole list that we've gone through a couple of times. Mrs. Barr every summer does a review of everyone's progress towards their high school diploma and then sends a letter home with your transcript every summer. So you would have gotten that this summer. If you have any questions about that, let either of us know, Mrs. Barr or me, Ms. Weimer. Hopefully there's not anybody that's still needing an SE4 course for a high school graduation requirement, but it is, you can do that. So there is still one more semester where you could take a college class for a high school requirement. So please let us know if you have any questions about that. But for the most part, Mrs. Barr has been in touch with you, and probably most people are kind of already aware of where they stand. It's just a matter of finishing and passing those classes and checking those off. Now, a lot of students that might need stuff, if you've had a lot of stuff going on where it's taking up space in your schedule, like tech or band, or if you've gotten behind or failed things, like especially in the last year and a half and things are crazy, then yeah, you might be in that case where like it makes sense and you need to take a college class. So again, if you have questions, let us know. Now, we're talking about all this stuff that you have to finish by the end of 12th grade, but then there's one last thing you're going to have to do in your 13th year, and that is to take a math related course. So the state's requirement is really goofy. And as a former math teacher, it actually drives me especially crazy that you must take 4 credits of math, and the high schools want you to have that done by the end of 12th grade. At your high schools, they're probably talking about this requirement as senior math, that even if you finished your 4th credit in your junior year, they're trying to make you, or they probably made you take a math class in your senior year as well. If you had never left your high school, your senior year would be your final year. But you have left your high school and you're now with the Blue Water Middle College. So your final year is your 13th year. So that means that you have to still do those 4 credits by the end of this year. And then next year in your 13th year, you have to take something math related. Typically, I think the easiest way to do that is just finish your 4 credits at the high school this year. And then next year, take your math requirement for your college degree. If you've gotten ahead and you've already taken your math requirement for your college degree, let me know now and I can start giving you some ideas of other classes you can take, because there's a ton of classes that we can count as math related that has quite a bit of math in it. So a bunch of science stuff like physics is on this list here, astronomy, physical science, chemistry. There's a bunch of classes in the engineering technology fields like electronics, some mechatronics classes. A lot of business stuff will count, like accounting and econ. And if all else fails, there's a class called Business 199, which is personal finance, which I think is actually a really great elective for everybody to take, because it's really going to teach you a lot of that real world math that you'll need in your actual life. So we can help you find something that will work for that. If you can postpone your math requirement though, like you need Math 104 for your degree, just wait and take that next year. Now, if you need to get to Math 114 because you need calculus at the next place, start taking those prerequisites now, like wherever you fall in your placement. You can take something now knowing that you might need a later one anyway next year. So for the SE4 degree, if you're not sure where you stand, you need to kind of get a little bit clear, because now you've probably started to check through kind of the main requirements for the 2 sort of general transfer degrees. And I'll do a quick little refresher on the degrees. In fact, let's do that now. So I'm going to click over to, let me get out of here. Click out of there. Okay. Oh, and it's going to just start me all over. All right, sorry, we'll figure that out when it comes to it. So on our website, we have a bunch of resources, and this is where I would point you to if you have questions about degree planning, about registration. I'm going to send you links to this stuff, but if you were to put in the link tinyurl/SE4, oops, you can never type when I'm doing a presentation. tinyurl.com/SE4 registration is going to always bring you to our page about SE4 registration. And we have these 3 videos that really break things down in a lot more detail. So if you are like, I have no idea, I can't remember how to use Service Center at all. That's why I'm here, because I don't remember how to register. I'm going to do a really brief overview of it, but this is going to get into a lot more detail to use it for planning, to use it for searching. A little bit, it links to another page about planning for your degree that gives you kind of a little refresher on that. But if you're really lost on all of this stuff, that's where I would say contact one of us and let's set up a meeting and we can help walk you through it and really talk about what do you want to do after SE4 and really make sure you're doing the right degree for that path. The other thing that's really helpful right now are these scheduling documents and links. So this brings up, these are kind of the main degrees that most students are working on. The Associate of Arts and Associate of Science, those are your 2 transfer degrees. And you came in the 2019 catalog year. So let's pull that up. So if you, I'm sure, hopefully remember what this looks like, that these categories, the social science, humanities, science, math, and English are also going to complete something called the Michigan Transfer Agreement. So if there's even a tiny 1% chance that you could end up going to a 4-year school in Michigan, it's really worthwhile to get that done. Finishing the arts degree or the science degree is going to finish that requirement for you. Then each of those degrees have this like additional courses over on the right. Obviously on the science, there's a lot more science that you can take, more chemistry, bio, physics, geology, but they also have where you can take higher level math, the math 114 or higher, or the CIS 260 and 261 are programming classes. So these would be the higher level math is if you're using the science degree to go move on and do engineering, that's a great route for you to get a lot of the math done and count it here. Or this programming, if you are thinking about going into kind of a computer or programming field. On the Associate of Arts, they require a few more. You have to do 4 total of these additional courses. And then between the social science, humanities, and additional courses, 2 of those have to be a 200 level or above. There's a ton of stuff that works though. Psychology are great ones, sociology, English classes. These 200 level English classes are literature classes. If you like to read, they're really interesting. Economics can work for that. There's some 200 level in the criminal justice. Graphic design is actually under its former name, advertising and communication design. There's some 200 levels. So if you're doing that, make sure you are incorporating a couple 200 level classes, and you just have a lot more choice here. So those are the 2 main transfer degrees most people are working on. If people get to a situation where, as you can see, you need a C grade or higher for this to count for a requirement for this degree and for the Michigan Transfer Agreement. If you run into a case where like you're taking things, you're getting C minuses to D minuses, and so it's not counting for these requirements, at some point, maybe we would suggest, well, you might want to try the general education degree. You still need 60 total credits though, and everyone at this point still has time to finish one of these arts or science degrees. There's enough time to do that. So I would say focus on one of those if you know that you're going on to a 4-year school, especially. This also has the degree planning template, which is this thing that I love, which is a great way to map out what you have left and map out what you've done so far so that you can really check to see like how many credits you have. At the end of this year, in the spring, we're going to get really deep into this, where we would love for you to have 30 credits at the end of this year. So next year, you're just doing 15 credits and 15 credits to get to your total of 60. So this is a good study, or this is a good planning tool that's on that page. You can also pop in the office and we can give you a copy of any of this too. This is the actual Michigan Transfer Agreement checklist, which again, you can see is the same as the categories here on the arts or science degrees. And let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to show you here. Okay, so these placement guides for the AccuPlacer or the SAT, this can tell you where you place for the English and math. So when I look into the service center, I'll show you kind of where to find those scores. And then you can use one of these charts to find out where that places you. So that's kind of all those planning tools are really helpful, but definitely the biggest thing that if you're having trouble, try starting with watching these videos that are over here that are a lot more detailed on the SC4 registration page, and then let us know if you have questions. Back here. So you're about a third of the way in once the semester finishes. So you still have a lot of time left, but you can see, you're halfway through as far as finishing your third semester right now, but your fifth and sixth semesters, you're going to be full-time at SC4. So you're going to get a lot of stuff done that year. And you can also, we're telling you, and I would like you to shoot to just have like 30 credits left for this final year. But if you end up having more, that's okay. As long as you have at least 26 credits done, you can take 17 credits each semester next year, or 34 credits total in your 13th year in order to finish the 60 credits. So don't panic if you're not on track for that, but just let us know and we can help you really plan out a solid semester for winter so you can put yourself in good shape for your 13th year. So your English and math placement, every degree does require something for English and math. Last year, or pretty much since you guys have been with us, they have had the AccuPlacer and the prerequisites for that were shut down all of last year, because when you guys came in, I think maybe a handful of people were like really early and got their AccuPlacer taken, but most people weren't able to do it before everything was shut down. So they did reinstate those requirements this semester, where you do have to have a test on the summary. So either having had taken the AccuPlacer, and you could do that anytime. You could call tomorrow and make an appointment and get in there this week if you wanted to, or to take your SAT scores and send them to SC4 and they can use those scores for your placement as well. So if you need an English or math class, it's time to figure out one or the other. If you have your SAT scores, you can just, well, hopefully you just put SC4 as one of your colleges to have them sent to. And actually, let me just pop over and I'll show you that in the service center so you can see how to find that. So this would probably kick me out because it's been sitting for a second. But when you log into the service center, and this is your home screen, you can, well, first of all, let's look at grades, because this is what I was going to show you first. So you just click on grades. I knew it was going to kick me out. Oh, geez, now it's going to not let me log in. And I'm logging in as Mrs. Barr because she was a student more recently than I was, so we can actually see stuff a little better. Okay, we're in. So when you log into the service center, you're gonna get to this home screen. All of the registration stuff, if you remember, is in student planning, but grades is where you can actually check your grades. And you click there, you scroll down and you click on the semester that you're wanting to find out, which right now for you is fall 2021. And under the midterms, whatever grade is over here was your early alert grade. So hopefully everybody kind of knows that at this point. Once the semester is over and your final grade is there, that's where you'll find that. And right now you just have 3 semesters, but eventually you'll have a whole list like Mrs. Barr does. And that's a 4 points, hopefully, like she did. Under academics, this little tab here is where you can find a whole bunch of stuff. And what we want to look at now is this test summary. So this is where you can see if SC4 has your SAT scores here. So you can see admission tests. This is where your SAT scores would be. Back when Mrs. Barr and Mr. Ruiz and I were at SC4, we were taking the ACT. So this would say SAT and then whatever your score is. So you'd be able to take this and then use that chart that we found. Now where that opened, SAT. So you can look and see based on your score what class that places you into. And that's kind of complicated and you want to really make sure that you're doing that right. So I would say if you have questions, just shoot any one of us an email and we can look that up for you. That's where you can find that. If your SAT scores are not here, that means that they don't have your scores. So that's where we would go back here and you would go to the College Board website, download or save a PDF copy of your score report, and then you can email that to really any of us and we can pass it on to SE4. Just let us know, these are my SAT scores and I want to see, can I use them for placement? And so we'd also be able to let you know based on your scores what that would place you into. Now, if you have not taken the SAT or it didn't go well and you know those scores are not going to work for you, probably what you would need to do is retake that or take the AccuPlacer. That's the best, fastest, free way to get your scores updated right now and get your placement updated. But if either through the SAT or the AccuPlacer you place into anything below a 100 level, you need to redo something, either the AccuPlacer or SAT, one or the other. But we can't pay for these classes. They're considered developmental courses if they're below a 100 level. And it's basically like an expensive prerequisite that takes your time, costs money, and then those credits don't go towards your degree. It's just like a fancy, it's a prerequisite. Everyone though is capable of placing higher than these. These math levels are like pre-algebra into algebra 1. These English are like middle school English grammar stuff. You are all well past that. You probably really just need to go back and refresh some of that because that's what those tests are testing you on. And it's been a while since you've had that, right? So you just need to refresh your memory and then you would be fine on the AccuPlacer. So take the AccuPlacer at the testing center. That's the quickest way. You could probably call tomorrow and get in for a test on Wednesday. But we can also send you some resources on how to study for that, and I'll point you to that on our website. The testing center actually suggests for the math to practice and prepare with Khan Academy. So I can send you the links and kind of some suggestions on that if you definitely need to improve your math placement. You can look at your SAT scores and submit those if they improve your placement. You would just save your score report, send it to one of us. If none of that's working, you could try retaking the SAT, because if your SAT scores are not enough to place you into the right English or math, it might not be enough to get you to the college that you want to get to or get you that good scholarship that you should get based on your GPA later on. So retaking the SAT is always a good idea as well. Last resort, maybe to take that course, like one of those developmental courses and pay for it yourself. But I really, really, really recommend not doing that. It is kind of a waste of money. And there's all these other options. There's tutoring. Talk to one of us if you're even thinking about that. And I'll give you a bunch of other suggestions for you to try first. Now, also, since you're kind of getting through things, it's really important that you start to meet with an SE4 advisors. If an SE4 advisor, if you haven't already, we recommend at least once a year, and especially as you're at this halfway point, making sure that you're doing the degree that is right for what you want to do. We can help you make the plan, but SE4 is going to be who double checks that plan. They're the ones that are going to vouch for how things would transfer. They're the ones that are going to issue your degrees. So it's really important that you meet with an SE4 advisor if you haven't. They're on the second floor of the Welcome Center, and you can make an appointment at their website, se4.edu/advising, or by calling their number, which is 989-5520. And all of these links, I am sure I've already said, but just a reminder, all the links that are in this presentation, I'll be sending in the email that I'm going to send to everyone with a follow-up of this video recording if you need to come back to anything. We can also help with kind of the same stuff, but we would be the person to ask if you have questions about your graduation requirements for the high school. The college advisors will not know that, and they'll just direct you to one of us. But sometimes we have people go over there and really confuse the advisors and not really say that they're a middle college student and they get confused. So best thing is just maybe start with us if it's about your high school stuff. But we can also give you some advising about your SC4 degree, college and career research, transferability stuff. And so if you want to start with us, that is fine. We can help you come up with a plan. But again, I really, really would like to see you all see an SC4 advisor to double check all of that stuff. If you're struggling to, you can always come to us. A lot of times we might just direct you to the tutors or to your instructor, but there could be something that we might be able to help you with really quickly that you wouldn't have to go meet with somebody else. So start with us always if you have a question. And so the more distant future is really getting closer to you. And we kind of just, we each year we survey our students as they're leaving. In pretty much year after year, we're finding a lot of the same things. They're going all over the place. Schools are taking credit. I think at this point, we're 11 years in, and our students have gone to pretty much any school in Michigan. And then almost every military branch, I think, and then a ton of schools out of state too. So we always talk about the Michigan transfer agreement and transfer guides and all this stuff because there's all these resources out there on the internet, and it's really easy to navigate if you're coming from a Michigan community college and going to a Michigan college or university. But that doesn't mean things that don't transfer out of state. It just means we have to do a little extra investigating, a little extra legwork. So if you are thinking about an out of state school, let us know and we can help you. And that might be a case where like the SC4 advisors just might have those resources because they just see a lot more students than we do and have been here a lot longer. So let us know if you have questions about transfer stuff. But the biggest thing that students say for classes transferring the way they want them to, for finishing the associate degree, all of this stuff is making good planning and getting C's or better and completing classes. So I know I've talked that in circles already tonight, but it is really important. Those are the biggest things for having things transfer the way that you want them to is really the planning that you're doing right now. So the number one thing is making sure that you're completing the associate degree, which is also basically going to complete the Michigan transfer agreement. But then we can also check and see what courses are needed for a bachelor's degree. So there's all these every school basically has the information of what is required for the bachelor's degree on their website. And there's all these tools where we can kind of puzzle piece and say, okay, so at Michigan State, they want you to have CEM 141 for this degree. There's Michigan Transfer Network. There's all these websites where we can see CEM 141 at Michigan State is Chem 111 here at SC4. And so we can really puzzle that out. Some of them have them even actually like very nicely for us. Oakland is one that has great transfer guides. Let me just show you one of those. So when I'm doing my college research, I just start with Google. So if we're thinking Oakland and I want to see about a transfer guide, and I just want to show you these because they're the best ones. They really lay it out very clearly. So you might not get immediately where you're going. You kind of have to search around. Transfer guides is what they call them. Some schools call them transfer plans. And when you scroll down, usually there's a way you select what community college you're coming from. So we are not coming from Jackson College, sorry, clicked on that accidentally. So we would scroll down to St. Clair County Community College, and then you do have to kind of search through the colleges. So most of the degrees are under the College of Arts and Science. So let's look, psychology is a good one that a lot of people are interested in. So you can see, this is their transfer guide. So this is saying, this will tell you everything you can take at SC4 that's going to work specifically for the bachelor's degree in psychology at Oakland. So they're saying major requirements. Those are kind of the above and beyond that you want to seek out, where they're saying you can take psychology 180 SC4 will give you PSY psychology 1000 at Oakland. And then basically you have to read through what else, but this is suggesting a whole bunch of other things that you can take. they'll also lay out transferring with the MTA, which ideally you will have finished. So what they're saying is that's going to complete the general education requirements at Oakland. If you don't complete the MTA, you may need additional coursework there, and then they can show you kind of what would transfer. But ideally, you're just finishing the MTA, and so you don't have to worry about class by class if you will complete their general education stuff. And then they always have a lot of notes that I recommend you read through. But those are, Oakland has some really nice ones. There are a number of schools that have really nice ones. Even if they don't, let me know and I can kind of help you puzzle piece that together. So transfer stuff is really important. Getting the C or better. You have to get a C or better in order for a grade to transfer to the four-year school. And then obviously completing and passing classes is kind of a key. So probably everyone is somewhere on this spectrum, continuum of clarity. And this is an old holdover. This is actually going to make, it's like a cartoon. Mr. Spencer made this before he left us, where it was okay to come in and be a little fuzzy on, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to go, but we do want to help you get to crystal clear, knowing exactly where you want to go, what you want to do. I want to transfer to Grand Valley and I want to major in biology to then someday go to medical school. Like having that clear idea, and it's okay to have, you know, I want to major in biology for a pre-med plan. And I'm thinking between these 5 schools, let us know. We can help you figure out everything where we could have a plan for each of those. But let's see if it'll do this. Get you from fuzzy to clear. So some people are probably in the middle where like you kind of have some ideas, but it's time to get as clear as you can so that you can really make sure that next year in your 13th year, when you run out of requirements to take at SC4, and now you have all these electives where you can really take anything you want, that you really know where you want to go so you can choose your electives based on your bachelor's degree later on. If you think you know, double check, make sure, learn more. If you don't know, it's really time to start that searching. These sites are really helpful for searching if you have a certain career and you're just looking for more information about it. These are great for finding out what schools offer the major for the career that you think that you want to pursue. So again, these will be in the email that I send everybody as a follow-up. And then this other page has a bunch of resources. It's really nice. Has a bunch of resources for all kinds of stuff. There, I've got so many tabs open. I don't know what's what. So this is that link. So this will bring you to this page where if you are clueless about what you want to do, there's career assessments. If you have some ideas, but you're not sure, these are other sites. MichiganTalent.org is a good one that I'll point to in a second. That ONET was also on my list, but these can give you information about specific careers. If you are planning, like you have a pretty good idea, but these sites will kind of help you navigate the whole planning process, the whole college going process, tell you what to expect when, which is kind of what we're doing too. So those might not be as necessary or relevant for you. These sites can help you find schools that have the program that you want to do. Visiting the colleges, a lot of schools are back to doing tours, but they'll just do maybe a tour. You schedule a tour and it's just you and your parents and a small group. They're not really doing big school groups just yet, but I think that will happen. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to doing that next year, possibly even this spring. But these are all great. They actually link you to all of each school's virtual tours, which can be helpful just to kind of get a sense of what campus is like. But I really think there's no match to actually getting yourself on a college campus and walking around yourself really tells you everything of, yeah, I can see myself here, or like, oh, this is way too big, this is way too small, people aren't very friendly, or everybody's so nice. It really makes a huge difference to get on campus. These are great sites for checking the costs of different colleges. So if you're kind of deciding between a handful, that is really helpful. This stuff is wonderful for getting ready to apply for the FAFSA. This is good information on that. And then these are different sites that have scholarships for searching. So again, most of this stuff you're just going to do next year, but if you wanted to start doing the research now, that definitely can't hurt. And then later on, once you make some decisions, this will help you calculate the cost based on your information that you get from the college. They will send you something called a financial aid award letter, where this will let you kind of plug the numbers in and compare what's the real cost of each school that you're thinking about going to. Some saving different programs. And then this, for once you actually are paying for college on your own, you would be eligible, well, your parents would be eligible for tax credits for that. So this is a really super awesome resource that I will send you. This other thing, so if we were in person, I would have given you a handout, but this will come as a PDF where there's this, the state has these things called hot jobs. It's like the Michigan Hot 50 for 28. And so one of the pages that I was going to give you, and I will send you the PDF, is this, where this is a good resource. If you have no idea what you want to do, this can be a good resource to kind of look and see. These are careers that in Michigan are going to be high demand and high wage careers. So things, and it will tell you basically what degrees you would need. So you can see like this particular computer user support specialist, some college, no degree is required. So, and there's 1,750 projected job openings annually each year. So that's a lot of people that they're trying to fill. This is alphabetical, but it gives you kind of an hourly range, the growth percentage, and then most helpful would be the degrees required. So you can see there's still a lot that require a business degree, or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, but there's apprenticeship fields on here. Not a ton of just like an associate degree, but there are some, and I believe you can search that way. Here's one that's just an associate degree and you'd be able to start working. Some of these that require an associate degree, like this one, physical therapy assistants, SE4 doesn't have that program, but you'd be doing a lot of the general stuff and we could look at transferring. There's actually one, I believe, at Macomb, so it'd be pretty close by. So I will send you this, as well as there was a separate one. They have them broken down by the region too. So if you think like, I want to go to school and I want to come back to St. Clair County, be near my family, whatever the case, you can look at like different regions throughout the state, and I'll link you to that as well. So that's a good resource if you're really at that fuzzy point where you have no idea what you want to do. Those can be a good idea to just kind of search some good jobs that there's going to be a lot of demand and you can make decent money at. The biggest thing getting ready to next year start applying to colleges is really starting to feel out, does your GPA and your SAT score match where you want to go? Every day I feel like I'm having conversations with students in their 13th year who have these plans that don't really match their record right now. And they're running out of time to fix that, but you still have time. So this is just a grid that a college organization in Michigan put together just to kind of show you that the ranges for the GPAs and the SAT scores and kind of where each school falls there. So probably not a huge surprise. U of M is up here at this like most competitive spot. And then, you have your next tier, Michigan State, Grand Valley, where you have your average GPA and SAT score. I don't want to show you this to discourage you. If you have a 3.6 and you're in this range, but Michigan has been your dream from your whole life, everybody went there and that's what you want to do. It doesn't mean don't apply if you're not in this range. It just means you might have to do some work to get yourself in a little bit better spot. You do have a lot of time to bring your GPA up, and you do have time to do a lot more prep and retake the SAT. So one of those can offset the other. If you're kind of on the lower end of both, an amazing essay with a great personal story of what you can uniquely bring to that college campus can make a big difference too. And so don't use this as like, oh, well, I'm not going to get in, so I'll just whatever. It's still worth applying, but it's time to start getting a little bit more realistic about the work that you've done, the record that you've been creating, and do you really need to ramp it up to get to where you want to get to? You still have a ton of control over your GPA. So you really only have um, 3 college classes. Yeah, because this is your first semester of your 12th grade. That confused me. So you took 3 college classes last year. That's all that's on your transcript. What you're doing right now and what you're doing in the next 3 semesters is going to make the difference on definitely your college transcript. And all of these college classes are going onto your high school transcript as well. So what you're doing both at the high school and at the college can really impact your chances of getting into that dream school or those places that you want to get to. You will have about 36 high school semester credits on your transcript, and you have another 24 to add. So that's a big difference that you can make in the next year and a half. So again, get help if you need it. Do what it takes to bring your GPA up and retake your SAT. So I recommend it always. It does cost $55. If you are eligible for free and reduced lunch, or there's a whole bunch of other financial qualifiers that can make you eligible for fee waivers, let us know if you think you might be eligible. We can help you figure out if you are. But there's a potential where you could retake this for free. These are offered almost every couple of months. This page has all of the dates. Let's see if that brings it to us easily. So you can see, let's see, the test dates and deadlines each year are always here, and you can see kind of when they're coming up. So the next one would be December 4th. I don't think you need to do it right now. As you can see, I recommend you take that June one. And that's, great because you're still going to have everything you've learned this year fresh in your mind. But I know that might conflict with, state finals for sports or prom stuff or open houses. If that time is too busy, you could maybe take the earlier one that's right before it, the one in May. Or you could know that pretty much the schedule is going to be very similar next year, and you can wait for that first August one next year. If you're going to wait for August, don't promise to yourself, be honest with yourself, and actually do some studying over the summer. There's a ton of resources. The Khan Academy stuff you can look at in a really brief overview, or you can get very, very detailed, and you could spend hours in there really, really getting expert level on every single topic. And that can make a huge difference in your score, which later on can make a huge difference into what school you're getting into and what scholarships you're going to get at those schools. So take it in June, or promise me you'll study over the summer. Actually set the time aside, put it on your calendar, and do it. So winter registration, that's probably why you're here, or hopefully maybe you've already done it today, but you're taking 3 more classes for winter semester. Hopefully you have a good idea of what you want to take, and you've already planned that with your program of study. You're considering the transferability. We've looked at all of that stuff. If you know where you want to go after SC4, you can do that research yourself, or you can make an appointment with one of us. My schedule is pretty crazy right now, but I think it's slowing down already now that registration opened today. So I think I could fit people in this week. Any of us could. Mr. Ruiz, Mrs. Barr, our new advisor, Mr. Stewart, may be able to help us with this too. The registration process is the same as what you use to register for this current semester. I will do a little refresher on it. Let's see how I'm doing on my time. Pretty on schedule. So I'll do a quick little review of this. But some key things to remember is that adding your courses to your plan doesn't mean that you're actually registered. You have to make it official and actually click on the register button. And I won't be able to do that for Mrs. Barr's account because we're not current students, but I can kind of show you how to get it to your plan. So on the home page, I knew it was going to kick me out again. See if this has a saved. Yes, it does. Okay. So when you are doing all your registration stuff, everything is in student planning. And then under plan your degree and register for classes. And so as you're pulling things into your plan, well, first of all, if you see you have kind of some error message here, nobody should have this, that Mrs. Bars is saying she has to actually apply. She hasn't been a student for 2 years. Yours may say something like you're on suspension and you won't be able to register just yet, or it could have anything there. This will pop up sometimes after you've registered with an error of why it didn't go through. But hopefully you start to kind of pull stuff into your plan. And once you do that, you would click to winter and you would click this register now button and it will register everything you have planned. So if it's just as simple as that, just remembering how to do that, that's how. And then there's also a register button for each class over on the side if you wanted to do it one by one. Now, again, we can't do this because Mrs. Barr is not a student, but when you click that button, how you know that it worked is that these things that are kind of this beigey yellow that say planned will switch to green and it will say registered but not yet started. There's also, if you don't have anything in your plan and you're starting from scratch, there's a few different ways to pull classes in. I really think the best way is to use these degree plans, use the worksheets and figure out what classes you want to take before you get into this and know that like, okay, I've already taken my AccuPlacer or I took English 101 this semester. I want to take English 102 next semester. And once you have your classes, you can really just type them right in here and search. So, oh geez, well, I don't know what that's going to bring up. It'll bring up everything. So you can scroll to English 102. You can click here to view all of the sections and it's going to show us everything for fall and winter because it's always kind of defaults to what the current semester is. So up here to the left is where you want to use these filters to, for sure, just get us to winter. And these are great filters for if you are certain, like I for sure want to do an in-person class, that would be right here on campus. You could select that and it will just bring up classes that are in person. On the flip side, if you've done a lot of online through this last year and a half and you are liking it and it's going well, you're free to carry on and continue that and you can search just online. But once you have it kind of narrowed down however you want, then you would click on the view sections and it'll bring all of your options up. If you want to just do some looking actually like on that little calendar thing, you can add the whole course to your plan and select the winter semester, winter 2022, add course to plan. And you'd be able to see all of the options there on the calendar and scroll through it. But if you know for sure, I want to take, I was looking for a certain instructor. Wow, this scroll one is full already. So if this isn't your motivator to get moving, that's a good one. Kroll is a popular one. Here's another one with him. 12 o'clock, Tuesday, Thursday. Awesome. I'm going to add that to my schedule, and this will add the specific section to your schedule. Another way, so then you would go back to plan and schedule. That brings you back to that screen where you have the little calendar. You have to toggle through to winter, and now that's got the English there too. So you'd be able to register from here. Another way to search is through the course catalog where you can actually like put in several things at once. So if you know the 3 classes that you want under the advanced search, you can select winter and enter the 3 things, political science 101, maybe psychology 180 and art 120. So you could put in like your 3 classes and actually it'll just pull up those classes that you're thinking. Another route is with the view my program, review my progress thing, which we have to go back out. into the start of the student planning screen. This My Progress thing is handy, but there's kind of still some glitches in it that, and Mrs. Bars won't show up because she's already done with a degree, but this is a good thing that it can kind of show you what stuff you have done and what you haven't. Do take it with a grain of salt though. I think still the best way to check what you have left is using these worksheets that we've made. If you're doing one of the applied degrees, actually like going to those pages that we'll link to, but this page here in the course catalog, pulling up criminal justice and actually like physically checking off what you've done to see what you have left. That's the best way to go. This tool is handy, but there's just some weird glitches that I don't trust it anymore. But it's a good way to kind of pull in classes and add them to your schedule, pretty quickly. So that's a little refresher there, but start to finish, you log in here, you go to student planning, you go to plan and schedule, you toggle over to winter and register now, and everything turns to green and you're done. So if you haven't done that already, please do that sooner than later. If you have questions, let us know, but definitely make sure, and this actually we walked you through, like check and double check it. It should turn to green and say registered, not yet started. If it says planned, then you are not in that class and your space isn't getting held. So really make sure that you complete the process. Registration is open. You're still in high school, so don't schedule a class that starts before noon. If you are a lucky local student from Port Huron High or Port Huron Northern, you can start a class at 11:30, but there are pretty rare options that start at 11:30. An 11 o'clock start will not work. That does not leave you enough time. Your principals at your high school and our administrators and SC4 have all agreed that's just not going to work. And that's for your safety and for ours, because I don't want to be on the road with somebody rushing late to a class. If you are not scheduled at the right time, we do check the registrations. Mrs. Barr would reach out and say, hey, I see you're scheduled for an 11 o'clock. We already talked about this. You're not allowed to take that. Find something new and fix it, or that will be dropped by Friday, or she'll give you a couple of days to fix it usually. But if she doesn't hear back from you and you don't fix it, those classes will be dropped. She does not mess around with that. So every semester, somebody calls in tears thinking that they're registered for something that they're not. And so definitely just do it right the first time so that you know you're getting a good schedule that works for you. But you cannot make your plan based on leaving early from a class. Even if you have a cool teacher at the high school in that period that is fine with you leaving 10 minutes early, that's not okay with us, and it's not okay with your principal. And it's definitely not okay to make it part of your weekly plan to be like 5 to 10 minutes late to your college class. So this again is just a page that I've already shown you all of this, all these pages with all the resources there on our site, which will be on the email I send you. And this last bit is just kind of a refresh on your educational development plan. So again, when you're going to one of the partner schools, you do this by doing Career Cruising or Zello. For us, it used to be a worksheet, and we've now gotten so high tech, it's a Google form. So it's super, super easy. I have the link on one of these. This is the link. This is due to be done by next Monday. So you have a week to do this. It will take you literally like 10 minutes. And that's even being like thoughtful and mindful about it. So let's see. This is the link. It brings you here. Read through each page and the directions. There's several pages, but it's pretty easy stuff. I'm just going to put stuff through so we can actually just move from page to page. So it's just, your email is important to make sure you give me your personal email address. If not your SE4, not your BWMC, not your high school one, like a Gmail, Yahoo, whatever it is that you're using. And if you don't have one, I recommend you make one, because some of your high schools are brutal that you graduate and your email from the high school gets shut down like a month later. So you want to start getting in the habit of using other stuff so that people can reach you next year. So give me a personal email here. This first page is just wants to kind of walk you through where you're at with your degree. You're going to select which degree you're working on, Associate of Science. I know that requires 60 credits, so you should use those worksheets to find out. I'm taking 12 credits this semester. So between everything that I've done, I'm going to have 40 credits left to do. The required math for that degree is Math 113 or higher. I have actually already taken Math 112, and so I'll take Math 113 next year. You would say which combination of the English you've taken, whether it's neither of them, you're done with English 101, or you have both done with a C or higher, which will count towards your degree. This is a little refresher on how to find your test summary. Ask me if you have any questions on that. Oh, I have to put some stuff. The next page is another page asking about what you want to do for a career. So if you're trying to decide between a few things here, engineering or social work, which are very different, and that is okay. Tell me everything that you're still considering at this point. For both of these, you need at least a bachelor's or higher. Social work, usually you need a master's. If you are going to get a bachelor's degree, what major would it need to be? Both of those are actually pretty straightforward, that you would major in engineering or social work. This is where I want you to tell me any possible school that you're thinking of. If it's 20 different schools right now, that's okay. MSU, Go Green, a great weekend, U of M, it's acceptable. CMU, you can abbreviate, whatever, just tell me any colleges you're thinking about there. If you are not going to do more college, there's a lot of careers that people are going to do that you're just getting your associate degree and you're going to start working, or you're going to go into the military, or you're going to do a trade school or apprenticeship. Tell me all that stuff here. You can just type that in. If you know specifically, I'm going to apprentice with my dad's friend, whatever the case, just enter it here. Military, enter here. Ideally, tell me which branch, or if this is a required thing. So if you are going on to after college, just say transfer to a 4-year. So it's going to force you to say something here. And click next. Here is just the common old EDP stuff. It's going to want to know what the pathway is for your career plan. There is a page that has all of that. It's a pretty detailed list, really explains each of the pathways. So if you have questions about that, refer to this. But you can kind of know, like, okay, engineering is pretty straightforward. Social work is under human services. So it's okay to select more than one. Your preferred learning style, hopefully you kind of have a good sense of that at this point. Career planning activities, we are basically doing college and career research by showing up to this meeting right now. If you have met with me or anybody in the middle college, you can select there. If you have met with an SE4 advisor. If you've been lucky enough to do a job shadow, that's awesome. Or a college visit, that's awesome. If there's something else that you can think of where you've like interned with family, friends, business or something, put that there. Anything you can think of, enter there. This is just pretty straightforward extracurricular stuff that you've done, hobbies and interests that you have just in your personal life, like video games, you like to read, you like to bike, walk, whatever. Skills and abilities would be like you're really good with computers, like working with people, anything like that, list that there. Your long-term career and life goals, we're looking for more than just, I want to be an engineer. I would like to know why you want to be an engineer. Like I want to make good money, have a solid stable career, be able to have a good work-life balance. I want to have a family, or I don't really know if I want to have a family. I want to just kind of travel and explore, whatever the case. Just give me a few sentences here, which is a lot to say in 2 sentences, but that's okay. And once you're all done, you hit submit. If you haven't done something, it'll pop you back up there, hit submit, and you're done. So you could actually give that a good amount of intentional thought. And that just took us maybe 2 minutes. It would take you 10. So please preferably do this right away, right now. I'm going to end early, so you'll have time before your 8:30 time's up. But if you're just had a long day with registration and post Halloween Monday, that's okay. You can do it another day, but please do it by next Monday. And I'll send you all those links tomorrow. And this video, if you need a refresher on anything, that is the link. Actually, I can give you a second here, and I can put this in the chat too if anybody doesn't want to wait to work on that. If I can get it to work. Okay, well, I'll figure it out and I'll get it in the chat in a second because we're pretty much wrapping up. This was just explaining what I've just explained. So if you haven't already put your name in the chat, please do that to get credit for being here. I see that there's 30 things here that I have not looked at. So I hope no one had a question. I don't have a partner here to help me with that. So I'm sorry if somebody had a question that I haven't answered. I'll scroll through that really quickly. But while you're putting your name in the chat, if you haven't, or let me know if you have any questions, let me put this in here. So what was it called? 12 EDP. There we go. So this is just that quick link for this Google form if you don't want to wait on this, but everything else I will post, probably will email tomorrow as a follow-up. And I'll scroll through and look for questions, but you can also stick around if you have questions. And we are almost done here. Goodness gracious, sorry. Yeah, so make sure your name's in the chat if you want credit for being here, but keep working hard. We are actually in week 11. This was from last week. So it's really getting close. You have basically 5 weeks. You have your 2-day Thanksgiving week that you probably still have class, and then finals, and then you are done. And so registration is open. Make sure you do that as soon as possible. Do your EDP in the next week, and then get ready for finals and turning in your textbooks. We are trying to work up some sort of holiday party for that week, finals week, where it could be a great time to pop into the office, drop your textbooks off, pick up a cookie, say hello. There is a chance we're going to have therapy dogs there, which I'm really excited about. And so we'll get information out about that because we're getting close. It's really only like 6 weeks away. If you have questions for anybody, these are all of our names, position, phone number, email. You can screenshot that or take a picture. I am kind of the one to talk to about college and career stuff. Mrs. Barr is a great resource if you have questions about your high school requirements, but any of us can really answer anything. So whoever you are most comfortable with, reach out to. If just a word of a tip, if you're going to reach out to multiple people, best to put us all on the same email. So when one of us replies, we'll reply to all. We've had a few people send us the same email to each of us. And then you have 4 different people working on something independently, not realizing they're all answering the same question. So just a handy tip for later on in your career too. That's a good rule of thumb. So there's that stuff. I will, I'm going to stop recording and then I'll be here. I'll stick around for anybody that wants to stay if they have questions. And then thank you so much for coming. have a wonderful registration, rest of your semester. I will also be emailing the slideshow. Yes, in fact, if you want to stick around, I'll go through and make sure I've answered like the general questions real quick. Like if anybody did ask something that I haven't addressed. Otherwise, you're free to go and just stick around if you have a question that I'll answer directly. Would it be okay? Oh, geez, just reset and start. I think someone's gonna stick around and wait to talk to me, which is great. Oh wow, Alex. Both have a wait list already. Yes. I think it only lets you wait list for one thing, actually. But you can and should register for a backup plan. And I will be emailing the slideshow. A D- is passing, which is usually a 60% or higher. But your syllabus should say that. Oh, login not working. Okay, so if it's not working, try the help desk. I forgot to show everybody that, but I can show you real quick how to access help desk. Well, actually, I know the number is 989-5858 because so many people have been having trouble. But you can also email them. I think calling is probably the best, fastest way. And they will answer you, but they're pretty slow. They're really backed up. There's been a ton of issues and I'm not sure why. I think I got everybody from the chat, but are people sticking around that you have a question? If you are, just unmute and let me know. Bree, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do.